The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community, as well as around the world. First up, we'll bring you the latest headlines in local, national, and international news. And Bronx Week is approaching. We'll get a full preview of the great events happening to highlight the rest of our borough and highlight the best in our borough. And after that, we'll investigate the role that politics is playing in the courthouse. You don't want to miss that. We'll have the Riverdale Press here to discuss. Plus, we'll hear from a mayoral candidate who's coming with a little bit of a different approach. And lastly, we'll find out about an event taking place for a healthier Bronx. So we encourage you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, May 8th, 2013. Of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We encourage you to stay connected to us. You can find out about us on Twitter at BronxNet TV. And, of course, you can catch us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, leading things off with national news, in Washington, former President Bill Clinton has stated the endless rumors about his wife's political future are a waste of time. President Clinton says that his wife Hillary Clinton is now writing a book and enjoying being a private citizen for the first time in years. The former president believes the focus on the 2016 presidential election obscures her capacity to focus on the nation's existing problems. Well, on the international front, President Obama stated Tuesday that there are no easy solutions to resolving Syria's civil war, and the United States will not take action without confirmation that the Assad dictatorship has used chemical weapons against its own people. As tensions continue to rise, more than 500,000 refugees have flooded into Jordan, putting a strain on the country's electricity supplies. For the first time in history, residents of Jordan are beginning to loudly speak up against opening their borders to allow more refugees. And here in the borough of the Bronx, we now turn, and Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. officially endorsed Bill Thompson for New York City mayor on Tuesday. The endorsement from the current Bronx Borough President is said to be significant and potentially the key in winning Latino votes. Diaz praised Thompson, stating that he's a coalition builder, believing he was the right person to lead our city 4 years ago and remains the right person today. And those are the headlines. We got to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll sit down with the executive director of the Bronx Council for Tourism. But first, Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. officially kicked off Bronx Week on Monday, and our BronxNet correspondent Arlene Makoko was there, bringing us the story and the highlights.
It was a food taster's delight at the kickoff of Bronx Week 2013 inside the rotunda of the Bronx County Building.
This is another wonderful event in the greatest borough and the only borough attached to the mainland of the United States.
Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. welcomed Bronxites and all New Yorkers to the biggest party in town.
What we want is for people to see us for the transformation that has occurred, to be able to head with the Bronx Tourism Council and the BOEDC, to be able to head to one of the largest parties in the city of New York, where we're celebrating my hometown, where we're inducting people to the Bronx Walk of Fame, where we have a parade where many schools are going to participate, our youth are going to participate, where I get to take the stage and perform with a hip-hop legend like Biz Markie. Hey, life is good. Can't get any better than this.
Restaurant owners say they're pleased at the opportunity to join the big celebration. At Babalu, shrimp cocktails were being served.
We want to invite everybody in the community to come out and enjoy the restaurants and enjoy everything from the Bronx, which is gorgeous, and we're very proud of it.
By these yummy desserts were on display. These spirits that grace a number of restaurants are made right here in the Bronx.
When I started, it was one of 13 distilleries in New York State. Now there's about 43, 48 and counting.
Now we have cans, and the big news is the new brewery that we're building out in Port Morris. Do you want to try some? All right.
And providing visitors to the Bronx with postcards, T-shirts, and other Bronx memorabilia like these placemats featuring artist Daniel Hoban's work is John Martin and Anthony Ramirez.
We create and sell Bronx-themed merchandise to help improve the image of the borough. We also host community events and recently opened the Bronx Beer Hall.
The event was also an opportunity to unveil this year's honorees: former Bronx Borough President and State Attorney General Robert Abrams, Hollywood actress Ellen Barkin, and salsa musician Miguel Angel Amadeo.
Being recognized by my own people, it's beautiful.
Supporters, including Montefiore Medical Center and Health First, say it's about supporting the very people they love to serve.
Yeah, actually, the Health First is a part of the sponsor of the Bronx Week. We are proud to be here today.
Of course, none of this would be possible without generous sponsors like Delicioso Coco Helado. To find out about a Bronx Week event nearest you, you can go to www.ilovethebronx.com. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And thank you, Arlene. Bronx Week is an annual 10-day celebration of Bronx Pride with a variety of events highlighting the best our borough has to offer. We're pleased to be joined by the Executive Director of the Bronx Tourism Council, Ms. Olga Tirado, and we're glad to have you sharing with us here today.
Happy to be here.
As we saw in the piece, obviously a great kickoff and a lot of excitement during this time of year. And being here for 16 years and watching, it's progressed.
It's getting bigger and better every year. I mean, that's the idea, right? You always want to outdo what you did last year and just keep on moving forward, and that's what we're doing.
And it's a collaborative partnership because you've got a lot of businesses that are taking involved. The community is really at stake. What are some of, to you, the greatest highlights of the week?
Oh gosh, there's just so many. We have, starting tomorrow actually, we have the Centenarian event, and what that is, it's a luncheon where we celebrate people who are either 100 years old or turning 100 years old. I believe we even have someone who's 105.
Wow.
And we're going to be celebrating. These are the people whose shoulders we stand on. These are the people who've taught us with their longevity, their lives, their wisdom. And so really excited about that. Friday we have a banker's breakfast. Tuesday we have a business breakfast. The weekend is also Mother's Day. We're taking a break because you all need to be with your moms that day. But Saturday we've got a Get Green event. We've got a youth and family event, an outdoor event, hopefully if the weather holds up. And if it doesn't, we bring it inside. And we've got a film festival on Saturday at Billy's Bar on 161st Street. So there's a lot of things going on right away. Then next week, we've got so many things happening. Again, we've got the business breakfast. We've got a few more outdoor events. The entire community, we have over 100 events going on simultaneously throughout the entire week of Bronx Week. This all culminates next week, Saturday. It all culminates in the ball where we're going to induct 3 honorees to the Bronx Walk of Fame. And that's exciting because our 3 honorees we announced on Monday, and I think you showed a little clip of that. We're going to honor past Borough President Robert Abrams. We're going to honor Miguel Angel Amadeo, who's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman composer who has composed music that we all know as Latinos. We hear, we don't realize he was the one who wrote the music. He was the one who wrote the lyrics, and very well-known bands like El Gran Combo, Tito Nieves, they sing his music, and he's here in the Bronx.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
Give me this about the borough of the Bronx. We've seen a resurgence in the borough of the Bronx. And what does this do in terms of, when you have 100 events going out, what does it do in terms of tourism and really making the Bronx, the borough attractive? Well, it extends out.
Yes, it does. And, keep in mind that this series of events is a collaboration between Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., the BOEDC, the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, and my organization, Bronx Tourism Council. We all come together, and his office, my office, and the BOEDC, we all come together and we put together these ideas and these events. We're just, his entire mission is to keep moving forward. It's the new Bronx. And that's what we're doing with Bronx Week, and that's what we're doing moving forward. Next year is going to be our centennial, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got other plans for next year as well. So right now, this is all consuming, and it's just a great deal of fun. And it's just fantastic. But let me tell you the other, I didn't tell you who the other honoree is, actress Ellen Barkin, who starred in Sea of Love with Al Pacino. She's also a very proud Bronxite. In fact, if you follow her on Twitter, it says Bronx Girl.
That's it.
So she's proud to be a Bronxite. So we're excited to have her as well. So we're really excited about all of the activities, and the community coming together is it just shows, what it really shows to me is how amazing the Bronx is and how amazing Bronxites are. Because they wait for this event. Everybody's sitting around saying, when is it going to be? We need to, put together our event. We want to make sure that it's happening during Bronx Week. We want to come out and celebrate Bronx Pride, and showcase the best of the Bronx to the rest of the world. And that's what we're doing. And it's really exciting.
When you look at the public participation, you see people lining the streets, Grand Concourse, all the way across, especially when it comes time for the parade. What do you think this does for the borough in terms of for a shot in the arm for the community or community revitalization?
Well, you know what? The thing is, Bronxites have shown throughout the years that we're resilient people. I think the parade and the festival and all the dancing and the celebration and the splendor and all of that just really shows shows a little bit of that resilience, but also shows that pride and that that synergy that everyone has with one another. I think that this happens year round. I think it's Bronx Week every week, in the Bronx. This is just our way of all coming together and just lumping it in 1 week. But people are just, and this, Bronxites are just, amazing, amazing people.
How do people tap in to find out more? Because you got these brochures that are out, you got the website out there, but really, how can people get connected to find out, because with all of these events going on, where they can be?
Well, you go onto ilovethebronx.com. This book over here has all of the information about all the events that are going on. Whatever is not in the book, we're going to be putting into our online calendar, so we'll have some of that going on as well. Just log on to ilovethebronx.com and you'll see everything Bronx Week and everything Bronx.
The Bronx Ball has been a traditional staple. Give us a little bit about it.
Well, it's held at Orchard Beach. Now, I remember when I first heard about the ball, I said, a ball on the beach. That's interesting.
Beach ball.
Beach ball. Yeah, right. But it's incredible. It's a black tie affair, star-studded. Everyone comes out looking gorgeous and beautiful and just fantastic. Again, it's a celebration. This is where the honorees also come and meet some of the community leaders, and they get to party with us and enjoy a celebration Bronx style. And that's really what the ball is all about. It's really all about having a good party and enjoying ourselves together. Now the next day is also, the party doesn't stop, because you saw when we did the kickoff, we start off with a party,
right? We
end off with a party. That's how we roll in the Bronx, right? So the next day, which is the 19th, we're going to have the parade on Mosholu. You mentioned that before. We'll have the parade on Mosholu Parkway, but we're also going to have a food and arts festival. There'll be a health pavilion there as well, and there's going to be a concert. You want to know who's singing?
Who's singing?
All right, I'll tell you. Biz Markie, Notch, and Lalo Rodriguez. So we're going to have hip-hop, reggaeton, salsa. And I believe we have one more. I believe we have one more act, but I'm not sure yet.
Can't say yet.
Don't know yet.
We'll come back and let you give the exclusive.
Yes.
So ilovethebronx.com.
ilovethebronx.com. Go on. That's everything is there. Just go there and you'll see. And call my office. All the information is right there on ilovethebronx.com.
Now, for somebody who's watching the show right now today, is there off the top of your head, what can they go and click into today?
Today, tomorrow really starts a lot of the events. I would say, you know what? Put it on your schedule. Saturday is great family fun. There's a youth and family day. There's also like I said, a Get Green, where you're going to learn how to help the environment, how to change your habits in order to help the environment. And then we also have the film festival on Saturday.
All right. So we want to tell you, over the next 10 days, you've got a lot that you go and check out. Make sure you do. All across the borough of the Bronx, there'll be activities. If you need food, guess what? You can do that. If you want to have fun, that's available too. If you just want to party, guess what? There's several places that you can go and party. Olga, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
All righty. Olga Tirado here with us. And guess what? We got to take a quick break. But when we return, we're going to find out about the role of politics in the courtroom. We'll talk about that very serious issue when we return.
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately. Because time lost is brain lost.
Mom? I'm not gonna go to college.
What are you saying? You've got to go to college.
Well, they offered me a job and...
Son, college is much more important.
No.
Yes.
No, Mom.
Yes.
Anyways, it's my decision.
Okay, well then decide what degree you're going to get because you will go to college.
Their tomorrow depends on your words today. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund has the information you need to help your kids go to college.
So here are the keys.
Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here.
Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.com.
Investigative reporting students of the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism and editors of the Riverdale Press have worked together to find that despite efforts to separate the courthouse from politics, the ties between the two still remain. Here now to share more about their story are Kate Pastor, editor of the Riverdale Press, Adam Wyszynski, who is the associate editor of the Riverdale Press, and Lindsay Armstrong, graduate of the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. And thank you all for sharing. And this was an investigative partnership. And were you surprised with your findings? Let me start there.
Go ahead, Kate.
This is something that the Riverdale Press hadn't really looked into at all before, and definitely was surprised about the sort of how widespread, at least what seems to be political patronage is in Bronx courtrooms. And
Right.
so, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, a decade ago they made all these rules to try to stop politicians from having a big play in the courtrooms, and then it continued. They found ways around it. Politicians always, they're smart. They found ways around a lot of the rules. So we were surprised to see that it was still going on, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about politics playing out in the courtroom,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's just watching, let's give them an understanding of your findings and what your article turned up.
So there are, in certain cases, civil cases, there's a third party that's appointed to care for either a vulnerable individual as a guardian, a foreclosed property, oftentimes a person or property in a vulnerable position, and a third party is chosen by the court to take care of them, to oversee whatever the case is. And they are given lists of approved fiduciary appointees that they can choose from. And what ends up happening a lot of times is that there are politicians who are also lawyers who are on these lists, and they tend to rise to the top of the pile, getting more appointments than just a lawyer who may happen to be on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like I said, they do a great job, and other times it seems that their poor performance is ignored because of their political position.
More specifically, who are some of the key names that we're seeing coming out of this?
We did stories on Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz from Riverdale, Lorraine Coyle Capel from Riverdale as well, who didn't actually have any, a lot of problems with her things. Just she made a lot of money, and she's very politically connected. Also, Jeff Klein, who's very prominent in Albany. Who else do we have? Those are some of the big names. The big politician's name, yeah.
And one of the judges was Malave Gonzalez, who's now the surrogate in the Bronx.
And upon contact, what are you hearing in your interviews from these people?
Well, I would just add to what Kate was saying earlier. I think one aspect of the patronage is that because judges are elected, they're often affiliated with political parties who help them to get on the ballot. And so there's sort of this conflict there between them appointing people who are also a part of the political party. And so that was one of the things that we sort of focused on in our interviews. It was, there were quite a few reporters working on the project, so maybe more specifically, is there a certain one that you're interested in?
Well, not a certain one, but I'll ask about receivership, because I know this is something that you really worked on. Give us a little bit about that, because that was pretty big too.
Sure. So receiverships are sort of a guardianship of a foreclosed property, and often these properties are in disrepair when they go into the receivership, and they're in financial straits as well. The court appoints someone to sort of act as a landlord, collect rents for the building, pay bills, and also to make sure it's maintained in a livable condition. I focused on someone named Howard Vargas, who he's not a political figure in a public way, but he's very affiliated with the party. He's had various positions in the Bronx Democratic Party over the years, and now serves as their lead counsel. And he received 15% of all receivership appointments between 2007 and 2011, even though there are 500 people almost who are qualified to receive these positions. And in addition, several of the buildings that we looked at had really fallen into further disrepair. I think it was 5 of his buildings that ended up on the city's alternative enforcement program list, which basically looks at the 200 worst buildings in the city each year while he was the receiver of them. So there are real people on the other end of this who are affected by people possibly not doing a good job and just getting sort of a political nod and then not really knowing how to handle the position. And there are other people who really are qualified that aren't receiving those appointments.
And given what we've seen happen with Malcolm Smith and things of that nature, obviously it becomes a whole lot more magnified. What do you think this means for us here in our borough with what we've got going on with your findings?
Well, I think what we found is that there was a real effort for reform in 2003, but that the enforcement perhaps isn't strong enough. So, you take State Senator Jeff Klein and his law partner Dominic Calderoni, and there were limits put in place for how much an individual can earn in order to prevent some of this patronage, and they were able to sort of use a tag team approach to, when one person capped out, say, hey, why don't you appoint my partner, while the other still did the work. So I think, for instance, strengthening, making it very clear that the law is meant for an individual, and that when somebody is appointed, that individual is to do the work. That's one of the reforms that I could see coming out of this.
We'll talk about the partnership, because there has been a collective partnership and you guys have been working together. Give a little bit about the background as to how this got going and how you guys were able to come together.
So the CUNY investigative journalism class, led by Tom Robbins, who he's a journalistic pro and Village Voice forever. You probably know him. He taught the class. 15 kids in the class, and the Riverdale Press. We have a very small staff. We have there's 4 of us on our editorial staff, so we don't get to do a lot of these really big investigative pieces that we would love to do, and so we just don't have the resources. So whenever we have the opportunity to work with anyone to really do a lot of the grunt work. They did a great job. They dug through tons of court documents. We're running around the whole city, going to courthouses, interviewing everybody, and brought it all together. And we fact-checked a lot of it. We tried to help them with some of the Bronx connections. And at the end of it all, it was we kind of focused it on 4 stories and brought it together. And I can't say enough about how great a job they did. They did a lot of good work.
What's been the feedback for you, given the fact that you kind of have ruffled some feathers here and got up under the cap? What's the feedback been like?
Well, we've been hearing some crickets from some political offices. I think that's maybe as far as I'll go, but we definitely get the sense that this hit a tender spot, and and obviously that's the role of reporting and investigative journalism. So. What we do hope is to see some more reforms. Just speaking to the shoe leather, one thing that the students turned up was that these documents were much harder to get. The documents that were actually looked at to come up with the stories are much harder to get in the Bronx than any other borough.
Really?
And that's one thing that we would definitely like to see sorted out and change. Because on the books, we're allowed to see these documents, but
freedom
for some
of information
reason
allows you to get that. But
for some reason, they were originally sealed in the Bronx. So,
really?
And that's the only borough in which they're sealed.
And they weren't in 2006. So something, instead of moving toward transparency, in certain cases, we seem to be moving backwards. So we'd certainly like to see that change.
So, of course, a quest for reform here.
I think another reform I would like to see that came up with receiverships, a lot of tenant advocacy groups and other groups are working with the Office of Court Administration to develop a list of approved receivers, almost like responsible developers. And the courts seem very open to it, really putting people in who know how to manage troubled property, so that people who have been paying their rent kind of don't become the victims of this system in which landlords were the ones who were irresponsible and possibly banks were the ones who were irresponsible.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit more of the fallout for a person that's doing the right thing? Because obviously on the other side, you got these people who are doing it wrong, but how is the tenant actually victimized in this whole process?
So one of the buildings that we looked into and that the Riverdale Press sent a second report or two to kind of update was on Creston, and I mean, people had rat and roach infestations, bathroom ceilings that were falling in, literally a front door that did not have a lock on it, the front door to the street. So people were coming in and occupying apartments, using them for drug use. I mean, really safety conditions, hazardous kind of health conditions. And unfortunately, that's not that uncommon. And so a lot of times people will stop paying their rent because the conditions in the building are so poor. And also because when a receiver comes in, people have been told before, oh no, you still pay me, the landlord. And then they find out, no, they're supposed to pay the receiver. They've had other groups come in and fraudulently claim to be the receiver because the receiver's not very present. And so they've lost money. Some receivers haven't applied for Section 8 housing grants, which are hundreds of thousands of dollars that they could be using to help maintain the building. So it's really taken a toll on these people's daily lives.
When you looked at your research into this, what was the biggest thing that really stuck out for you in this whole story?
I think again, just the fact that there was this effort to put reforms in place, and that there just seems to be very little oversight in terms of enforcement, and how easy it is for that to slip through the cracks unless you have a group of reporters really digging into it, and that the fact that this has gone on for a decade since reform, and that you have conditions such as this building on Crescent Avenue that was under the receivership of Howard Vargas. I found Lindsay's reporting on that particular building particularly shocking.
For me, I guess the most shocking thing was I was looking at the rules, and in the rules it says that the head of a political party of any borough can't get any appointments. So Carl Heastie can't, he's the head of the Bronx Democratic Party, he can't get any appointments. It's against the law. So he doesn't. I mean, he's not a lawyer, but he wouldn't anyway. But the second in command, Jeffrey Dinowitz, can do it. And a decade ago they discussed maybe having all elected officials, high up elected officials, not being able to get any appointments. And it's so funny that the rule stops that short. Heastie can't do it, but everybody else in the party can. And they're very powerful and influential just as much as he is. So.
Certainly something that we'll be keeping our eyes on, and thank you for coming and sharing with us and breaking this. Is this the beginning of a few series that we might be seeing, or what's?
I think there might be some follow-ups.
There might be some follow-ups. All right, well, we'll have you back. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming
so
and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Here on Open. And guess what? We got to take a quick break, but be sure to go to the Riverdale Press to find out more about that. And coming up after the break, we're going to sit down with a mayoral candidate who's hoping to make a change.
How you doing? I just want regular, no sugar today.
You got it.
Thanks. Hello.
Hi.
Did you eat that whole thing today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, how
are
you doing?
She's getting big, huh?
Good. Yeah, she is big. Great haircut.
Yeah.
Looks cute. Well, let's go. Nice to see you. Thanks a lot.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year, I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live United for Education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Do you wear this?
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
This is so cool, Dad. Awesome. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Hilda Kathy Brody Fernandez has announced her candidacy for New York City mayor. Her hope? To empower change through a grassroots approach. We're pleased to have her here on the set of Open to discuss the new horizon she has in store for the city. And Hilda, we welcome you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this wonderful show, Open. I'd like to thank you and your viewers and all of New York.
Thank you. So, the race for New York City mayor, you've decided to put your hat in, and you say that you want to see new horizons. First of all, why mayor?
Basically because I've tried for many years to be a community advocate, doing many different avenues, working with youth, working with senior citizens, working with various programs, working with the disabled, and sending messages to the mayors, to city council, and I think everything that we've sent to them fell on deaf ears and blind eyes. So I said, it's time to step up or shut up. If I'm in charge, then I know things will get done. It's like your mom. When you go to your mother for a problem, your mom answers that problem and solves that problem for you. I'm going to be the mother of the city. That's my plan, is just to take each aspect that problems are just overwhelming people and take care of them with solutions.
What are some of the key problems that you find that the city has to deal with?
Education. The education system is woefully lacking. Okay, our kids are not going into career paths. They're ending up dropping out. 4 out of 10 drop out. 80% of those who graduate are not even ready to take a college course without remediation. There's no career path. We want to instill a career path and involve all of the stakeholders, the parents, as well as the students, as well as the teachers and the school administrators and employers initially, even starting in elementary school with employers coming in to mentor the students so that they really have realistic ideas about their future. Because right now it seems that a lot of our youth are paying bail and going to jail. Okay. Also, we need places for our youth to be. There's centers are closing, programs are closing, and I run a program called A Different Approach Educational Facilitation and Bowling Clinic, because I'm a certified Olympic bowling coach as well. And I've partnered up with FaceTime, which is another youth program, which positive things are happening with our kids in both of these programs. My program will have a 99% success rate. Only one kid dropped out of high school in 20 years. And FaceTime pulls together aspiring models, photographers, music artists, and they're all in one place together. And I went to an event there recently, and it was the most enlightening and uplifting experience that I've had in quite a long time, with so many people from all walks of life in one place, happy.
Let me move to the campaign for a moment, because obviously you're going to have an uphill battle, admittedly. A lot of major names already out there, a lot of support from parties. You're looking at more of a grassroots approach. How do you look to counteract or balance or attack those that are already out there in a more mainstream light, given the fact that they get the publicity, you seem to be the lady that's the underdog right now?
Well, apparently I seem to be the underdog, but from the people that I've been in contact with, and I said I would go door to door if I had to, just so that they would understand, well, what are you really about? Who are you, and where did you come from? And I'm saying, okay, we need to stop the violence. Okay, and how do you do that? We need to promote youth as well as senior citizens joining together instead of segregating them. We need to really look at the housing situation and not talk at people, but actually make a difference in their lives. We need to look at the transit system as it really is. They're talking now about studying how people are not going to get hit by trains anymore, and I know that transit is a state. It's governed by the state of New York. But as mayor, I would have a conversation with the governor, and we have actually set up programs which could stop that, people getting hit by the trains. We want to promote lasting unity. You know, when we have like disasters, Sandy, 9/11, everybody came together and we were all American and we were all New Yorkers, and we embraced each other. And then as time went by and the bad guys went to jail, we kind of went back to our indifference, and that's not acceptable. We are New Yorkers, and we are a unit, and we're going to keep the violence from continuing, unify, and give people hope.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask the question. Some critics have said, okay, she's running for mayor. Why not city council? Why not start at a lower branch, work your way up, develop more exposure? Why would you go right for the mayor's seat? Why would you feel?
Because that's where the power is. That's people listen to the mayor. People hear the mayor. The mayor is the mover and the shaker. I can let the city council know what needs to be done, and I want to be on top so that I can assure the citizens who deserve to be happy that someone is recognizing what they need and actually overseeing it to make sure it's done.
Mm. You say that you have a plan for the problems. A lot of people are talking about the problems. You're bringing solutions. One of the things that you talked about was clerical positions.
Not clerical positions. I mean, clerical positions are almost a thing of the past. I mean, if you think about it, when you go to your doctor's office, your doctor's typing while he's talking to you. Mm-hmm. So if clerical positions on the downslide, then what's really coming up? What's really coming up? And what's coming up is the allied health. The allied health positions are abundant, really abundant, and we need to push our students or guide them toward not jobs, careers that they won't have to have hands-to-mouth wages, that they can actually make a living wage. Mm. Because in New York, you can't live on the minimum wage. Now, I don't know how people do it. I mean, I'm retired, and even retirees are having difficulty living. So if we don't address that, then it's where do we go? Where do we move if we're not in New York? And I'm not just talking about Manhattan. I'm looking at the outer boroughs. I'm from Brooklyn, but I live in the Bronx, and I've been in the Bronx since 1971. And the outer boroughs seem to have not been recognized as part of the city.
Before we leave, I want to ask a question about overdevelopment. A lot of people are concerned about overdevelopment here in the Bronx and across New York City. We're seeing a lot of new development, and we're seeing a lot of people also being forced out of homes, and some that are actually moving out of the city of New York. How would you tackle the issue of development, and what would be your plan for the city?
Development is not the problem. The problem is it's not inclusive. If we need to include the 99% that have seemed to have been forgotten, and it's like construction. With the development construction, there is a minority workers initiative by the government. 10% have to be employed, and what we have found out is that the word has been that no minorities have been applying, and that's why the numbers are so low. Well, I kind of know that that's kind of inaccurate, so we're gonna look into that so that everybody is benefiting from the development, not just a handful of people. I'm having a fundraising event also on May 25th because it is grassroots and we don't have a lot of money. So, and if anyone wants to buy a ticket or to contact to get further information, the number is 347-344-4433. The world famous Delphonics will be there as well.
Beautiful. So you're quite optimistic, and you're using the grassroots approach. Give us, before we leave, how you're embracing this grassroots campaign to try to get you to the mayor's seat.
I have a group of people from all walks of life actually knocking on doors, going into businesses, talking to the people. I'm from the trenches. I'm from Bed-Stuy. Okay, I've experienced, and you can say a lot of nice things, but the city wants someone of action. I'm a woman of action. So and the people that have been going around to knocking on doors and handing out my flyers and giving out my cards are not being paid. They're saying, yeah, we need change. We want somebody now. It's a time has passed when you need to research. You can do things. You get things done. I have a record of getting things done. I don't back away. I'm tenacious. If nothing else, I'm tenacious.
Well, Kilda Kathy Brody Fernandez, who is a New York City candidate for mayor, we thank you for stopping by Open, letting us know a little bit about your candidacy. We'll continue following the mayor's race, and we thank you for coming and sharing your political platform here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Well, unfortunately, we got to leave her right here, but we haven't left the show yet. There's still more show to come. Got to take a quick break, but when we return, guess what? We're going to hear about a fun-filled event that's designed to what? Promote health. We'll explain exactly what that is when we return right back here.
Megan, you're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face. Ugly.
Mom, I'm not gonna go to college.
What are you saying? You've got to go to college.
Well, they offered me a job, and...
Son, college is much more important.
No.
Yes.
No, Mom.
Yes.
Anyways, it's my decision.
Okay, well then decide what degree you're going to get because you will go to college.
Their tomorrow depends on your words today. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund has the information you need to help your kids go to college.
For you. Hey, Mom.
You know, girls, I used to cheer back in my day. Ready? Okay! Go team!
That was amazing. Mom, that was amazing.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
I love being in classrooms like this one and learning new things. But I'm a Brooklyn girl, and I know school can be hard. It's demanding, and we kids have many distractions, lots of other things we could be doing. Sometimes even your friends may tell you that school isn't cool, that it isn't the place to be. Don't listen to them. There's nothing more important than education. It's the key to everything else. It helps us understand our world and be better people, better friends, and better citizens. So stay in school, and don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough or smart enough. Be a star, shine brighter than anyone else, and you'll make the grade.
This has been a public service announcement of the Make the Grade Foundation. Go to makethegrade.org to learn more.
Montefiore Medical Center and Doctors for a Healthier Bronx have come together, hosting their 13th annual community walkathon and health fair, giving residents access to medical services, games, prizes, and much more. And here now to share more about the event is Roberto Garcia, Senior Director of Community and Governmental Relations of Montefiore Medical Center, as well as Wendell Alexis, Manager of Community Relations of Montefiore Medical Center. We welcome you both to the show.
Thank you very much, John, for having us, and thank you for this incredible menu. You provide such a wealth of information for Bronxites, and your show is a beacon of hope and of information for the borough. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, and thank you for what you guys are doing, because obviously you guys are major participants at Bronx Week. In addition to being participants in Bronx Week, we talked about this 13th annual community walkathon and health fair. So why don't you walk us through the walkathon right
Sure. So first of all, it's co-sponsored by Montefiore and Doctors for a Healthier Bronx. It's an organization that's comprised of over 100 physicians who volunteer their time and energy and professionalism throughout the borough to promote health and wellness for the community. And we basically understand that there's ways that we can prevent some of the chronic illnesses that Bronxites and other people in the city are facing. As we know, the Bronx has one of the worst statistics for health in the country, and is ranked one of the worst in the state, with the worst habits and the worst outcomes. So we need to do something. We are the borough of medicine, and it's interesting that 1 out of every 4 individuals in the Bronx are actually employed in healthcare. But yet we have these staggering, horrible statistics that we really need to address. So what we do at Montefiore is we team up with organizations and members like the Doctors for a Healthier Bronx to, again, promote healthy lifestyles, healthy living, with the hope that people will really take charge of their health, their lives, and help us, prevent the negative, aspects of the diseases and chronic illnesses that are, prevalent in our community.
And so what will people see on this particular day?
It'll be a fun-filled event. Certainly the underlying message is that health is very important, not only to Montefiore, but also to Doctors for a Healthier Bronx. We've been working with them for the past several years. And the event itself entails just 3 aspects. Really, the health component, which is the screenings. Secondly, the award component, which is this year we're proud to honor Dr. Safier, CEO and President of Montefiore Medical Center, for his work and his contributions to healthcare. And the third part is going to be for the kids. Naturally, they are the ones that, unfortunately, some of these indicators are starting to hit. We're starting to see type 2 diabetes in young kids as well. So we're trying to get the message across that start early, do your exercise, get out and enjoy the outside, and make sure that you exercise.
You guys spend a lot of time with community awareness, engagement, really trying to get people involved, and really, in a day in society right now where it's important to be very health conscious. Are you finding that more and more people are now catching on, taking advantage of the resources, not just taking the literature, but really taking advantage of the resources?
I think it's definitely the case, and I think as we see the changes that's happening with the Affordable Care Act, as known as Obamacare, and as we see that we're all in this together. So it's not only Montefiore, it's Bronx Lebanon, it's Doctors for a Healthier Bronx, it's St. Barnabas, it's all of the health providers that are really getting together and saying we're in this together. And our patients, many times, our patients are utilizing multiple sites and multiple providers. And we have to send a message that patients have to be responsible, really have to take charge of their lives. And I think that by sponsoring these events and activities, and we sponsor hundreds every year, we promote that healthier living and that consciousness and saying, you know what, let's find out what your hemoglobin A1C is and see where your sugar levels are at. And if we catch your levels at a point where we can modify your habits through healthier exercise and, of course, healthier eating, and other health indicators, we may be able to even prevent you from progressing in diabetes or obesity and all these other areas. And we're seeing, again, as Wendell mentioned, we're getting, especially children, we're getting a lot of issues with diabetic children, and obesity is really prevalent in the Bronx, and we are the borough of the youngest population. And so, again, we need to address, and we have multiple programs like Being Fit and many other programs here in Montefiore that address those conditions very much in particular, and we have centers of excellence that really, at the hospital, that really focuses on those issues.
You talked a little bit about Bronx Week a little bit earlier on the show, and you guys are highly engaged with Bronx Week as well. Give us a little bit about the engagement that you guys are doing before we come back and talk more about Monty.
Sure. So, we are very proud to be the major corporate sponsor of Bronx Week. We've been engaged with Bronx Week for over 10 years now. Part of what we do is that we have to engage not only our friends in medicine, but also our friends in public service and in politics. That's extremely important because there are a lot of issues that have to be addressed as far as public policy issues and legislative issues that need to be addressed that is extremely important. And we see that the collaboration with the Borough President's office is key, just like it is with other senators and other folks. But Bronx Week is really a celebration of the Bronx, and for us this year is extremely important because Montefiore celebrates 100 years of providing services here in the Bronx this year. So for us, it's a very big birthday also this year. And so again, we are proud to sponsor events and activities that, promote health and wellness, and we have a couple of events that we are going to be participating in, including the Health Pavilion that's going to be taking place at the Bronx Week Festival. And again, a wealth of information is going to be disseminated. We have over 40 different health-related organizations that come together that day to provide screenings and information on health. And then the other pieces that we have at Hostos Community College on Friday, May 17th, we have our annual health fair that's taking place. That's organized by Bronx Health Link and Montefiore, and it's going to be a great opportunity again for people to really get a wealth of information.
Wendell, when you talk about engaging the community, getting people really active, and whether it's the collaboration of other health organizations, or it's just a collaboration of trying to get community. What's it been like in terms of Monty and in terms of really getting that buy-in? Are you finding there's a strong buy-in?
There's definitely a strong buy-in. I think there's certainly a need, and Montefiore has certainly laid the groundwork where I think we reach out to a lot of the community organizations and a lot of the community to not only as far as the health issues are concerned, to change their eating habits or their health habits, but also getting information and getting these services out to the community where people can reach them and make sure that the information gets to them.
So in the future, we got some things coming down the pipe?
Well, Montefiore is consistently growing and providing incredible
consistently doing something.
Consistently doing something. We're plateauing now on our 18,000 employees now. I mean, we're at the point where we have over 18,000 associates, as we call our employees at Montefiore right now. We just opened up the new Montefiore Westchester Square just last month, and it's a comprehensive site where we provide ambulatory care. We purchased the assets of that former Westchester Square Medical Center. And again, we're consistently growing. We're working on several major capital projects, and we're investing a lot of money into building in many different areas. So, it's a progress. It's always progress at Montefiore. And one thing I can tell you, Darren, is that Montefiore is committed to community, and I think that's what differentiates us from any other hospital or medical center in the country, that we are really engaged in the community by providing not only health information, but the health of the community, whether it's real estate, whether it's economic community development, or managing bids, or managing business districts. At the end of the day, we feel that it's a holistic approach to medicine. It's not just diagnosing a patient, giving them a pill or two, and then having them come back for follow-up. It's what's ailing the community, being a partner in the community, being a partner with our providers, our elected officials, and most importantly, our patients. Navigating our patients in a way that they know that they have to take charge of their lives, and partnering with groups like Doctors for a Healthier Bronx that commit themselves and volunteer their time and energy for the betterment and the health of the borough.
Well, thank you guys for coming and sharing. And definitely the partnership is there with community, and you've been partnering with us, and we continue to give people healthier information, and it's through guys such as yourself that we're really able to do that. Thanks so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for having us.
Best wishes with the walkathon. Guess what? Unfortunately, we got to get ready to close things down. But before we do, want to let you know, guess what? Right here, if you want to learn about training, we have offering hands-on training right here with BronxNet. And there's going to be training in the South Bronx in partnership with the Pergonis Theater. There's a special workshop. It's going to begin on May the 13th. Now, if you want to be a part of this special workshop, May the 13th, more information and to register, all you got to do is call 718-960-1181, or you can email Audrey at bronxnet.org. You can find out more about the workshops taking place at the Pergonis Theater, the Casablanca building. As we said, 571 Walton Avenue. If you want to register, come on through to our BronxNet offices, Lehman College, Carmen Hall, room C19, Wednesdays from 9 to 5. And there's the number as well on the screen. Make sure you take advantage of it, and we'll be glad to help you out. Definitely been a pleasure coming into your homes. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we got to thank our guests for joining us. Most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed